Hello and welcome to Do It, the show where we like to find out what you all do in your pastimes. On this week's programme, Louise helps us catch up with the shopping news and tells us what people like to buy when they shop till they drop. Nicola gives us a rundown on smoking, tells us all the facts. Ben is here to help us increase our favourite pastime, drinking, so stay tuned to find out what to drink and where to drink it. I'm going to be checking out the nation of dance clubs and drugs and what most of us like doing with our weekend. Dave's going to be telling us the latest films coming out of Hollywood and Tinseltown and what films to rent from your video store. Lauren's going to be telling us the best sites to shop on the web. And finally tonight, Esther's keeping in touch with books, proving reading is still as popular as ever. First up on Do It, get ready to shop with Louise and Buy It.
Shopping has become one of the most popular leisure activities that people enjoy doing. With people now spending a lot more on themselves rather than necessities, it is now easier than ever to spend money you haven't got, especially when nearly every store offers you credit of up to £500 to spend straight away, never mind your trusty old credit card and a cash burning a hole in your pocket as well. One of the biggest shopping areas is clothing. The general public is now taking more notice in what they are wearing and their appearance. The way in which we buy our clothing is also constantly changing from the traditional catalogue to online shopping. The high street is also being challenged for our custom, with huge out-of-town dedicated shopping complexes changing the way in which we shop. As well as the locals, people travel various distances purely because they are interested in viewing these malls with a strong American influence. These complexes have obvious advantages over the high street, being that no matter what the weather, you can shop till you drop and not be affected by what is thrown at you from the outside. It also helps that you now can find all the top brands and shops under one roof, therefore saving time and money. But what is the average amount of money spent in a month on clothes by the general public?
Probably about 30 odd pound.
About 80 quid, or 50, 60 quid.
About £40 a week, but then sometimes I leave it.
About 200 quid.
On the basis of this research, most people spend on average about £100 per month on clothes. That most males preferred shops like River Island, Topman and Envy, while most females like Topshop, Morgan and River Island.
Probably Calvin Klein, Shots, River Island and Topman. Oh, flipping heck, that's a good one that is. I'd just buy anything.
Topshop, New Look, and probably River Island.
River Island, Topman, First Sport probably.
Although evidently specific brands are most popular with certain age groups, have you ever considered the amount of money you pay for a top brand item, and is it really the quality that you should expect? A range of people were surveyed on their thoughts on the cost and quality of clothes. About 70% agreed that the more you pay, the better quality the material and overall standard of the clothes. For instance, the cost may be higher, but the quality also rises with the cost. The high street is always changing, from the fashions in the shops to the shops themselves and the methods by which you can finance your shopping. New ideas are constantly being devised, publicised and marketed. It is a hard task to keep up with it all, and that's before the impact and effects of the internet and online shopping.
Well, thanks for that, Louise. Now, do you smoke? Well, if you do, and even if you don't, here's Nicola with some interesting facts. Here's the news.
Smoking has been going on for decades. When smoking was first introduced to the public, it was seen as being good for you, as you can see from these adverts in lifestyle magazines in the early 50s. However, since we have found out the tremendous health risks involved in smoking, there have been a number of public health advertisements on the TV campaigning against smoking and smoking in public places. There are also many adverts for products to help you stop smoking, such as Nicorette, which helps beat the craving for a cigarette. There are no adverts on the television for cigarettes as they are banned, but there are still plenty of advertisements for cigarettes at Formula One racing, in magazines and on billboards. The number of smoking adults has declined steadily in the past decades, but the number of young people who smoke has remained constant and even increased in the past few years. In England in 1996, among 15-year-olds, 33% of girls and 28% of boys were regular smokers.
Do you smoke?
No.
No.
Yes. No.
No. Yeah.
What made you start smoking?
British Army.
It's peer pressure. What age did you start smoking? Probably about 13.
18. nicotine.
Have you ever smoked?
Yes, I used to.
No.
Never ever in my life.
Yes,
Why did you stop?
because I developed a cough and I got a bit worried about it. Well, it's becoming a habit, really, too expensive.
From research I conducted with 15 to 18-year-olds, I found that people who smoked started smoking at an average age of 15, which is worrying as children under 16 shouldn't be able to get hold of cigarettes. However, in comparison, 13 out of the 20 people questioned did not smoke. They had either given up or had never smoked. A big issue regarding smoking at the moment is passive smoking. Only 15% of smoke from a cigarette is inhaled by the smoker, so the rest goes into the surrounding air for other people to breathe in. It is hard for a non-smoker not to come in contact with cigarette smoke.
Do you mind people smoking in your company?
No, not really.
No.
As long as I'm on a room and it's paying us full smoke, I don't mind, no.
I tend not to like it, really.
How do you feel about people smoking in social areas?
It depends if their smoke is encroaching on my area.
I don't mind. It's alright.
I'm going with it. Feel what smoke as long as it's not hurting me.
Worldwide, there are over 50% smoke-free places. For example, in Los Angeles, it is virtually impossible to smoke in any social areas, indoors and out. However, only 33% of places of entertainment are smoke-free. In some places, smoking has become accepted. For example, when you go into a pub or a nightclub, there are always going to be people smoking. You know when you go home that night that your clothes and hair will smell of smoke. Many places have separate areas for people who smoke. This applies in schools, hospitals, restaurants, buses and cinemas. Smoking is rapidly becoming antisocial behaviour among many adults, but it seems to be as popular as ever among young teenagers who continue to see it as something that is cool. If this is to change, there needs to be campaigns directed at teenagers to stop them from becoming addicted in later life.
Well, that surprises me, and even in today's society, with all the dangers, people still smoke and many are starting young. Now up next on Do It, it may seem like we're teasing you a bit, but for the next couple of minutes we're going to be talking about alcohol. Lager, vodka, well, Ben, our drinks expert, is going to be helping us quench our thirst with Drink It. So take it away, Ben.
It's Friday night, the weekend's here, and no more work for 2 days. Well, what do you plan to do? Well, for most of us this will involve drinking, and for some of us this means drinking to excess. Everyone has humorous tales of their drinking antics, from falling down in the street to the head stuck down the bog. And drinking is a very popular pastime with people of every age doing it, from the underage cider drinkers experimenting on the streets, to the grandmas who only have a drop of sherry at Christmas. We're all at it. But drinking has changed a lot over the years, and so have the establishments, and the choice of drinks available.
Okay, my favourite alcoholic drink's probably Stella, R12.
Iron Brew, Moonshine. Pint of Stella.
Jack Daniels and a dash of Coke.
Hooch. Just lemonade.
Red Bull and vodka.
Met.
Stella.
Met.
No, Smirnoff Ice.
Lager. I drink anything really.
As you just saw, there are lots of drinks that people like. What are the Northwest's top 5? The Scottish favourite is just as popular this side of the border and creeps in the chart at number 5. Vodka may only just scrape in the favourite chart at number 4, but is the most commonly drunk drink when going out. I think that's something to do with the cost. The government are trying to blame alcopops for the large rash of underage drinkers, but I think Sides is to blame for that. Anyway, alcopops storming this week's number 3. Those very suggestive names, bright colours and exotic flavours are all to blame for the massive popularity of cocktails. But who can't help laugh at the names which include orgasm, blowjob and sex on the beach? It may be plain and simple, but the taste of refreshing lager claims this week's number 1, and may not have the flashy names and colours of cocktails, but with the youth of today, a night out isn't a night out without a pint or 2 or 3 of lager. You've just seen people's favourite drinks, but new drinks are coming out all the time, from new lagers to the latest cocktail crazes. Now here are the contenders competing for the head of the drinks market. Okay, I know this drink isn't exactly new, but it's been bubbling under the surface for months. But the mixture of strong alcohol and a powerful energy drink gives anyone that extra buzz for the night ahead. Now this is a new drink. It's a full-strength spirit which tastes of a hot flavoured aniseed and is absolutely gorgeous. But the main attraction to this drink is the actual gold flakes that float around in the drink. They're a mystery, no one knows what they are. Real gold? I don't think so. Aniseed flavoured spirits must be the flavour of the moment, as this is one too. This one though is coloured red and has a stronger aniseed flavour but is a bit less hot. Now this drink has a massive following in the clubs as a shooter, but be warned it is quite expensive. All of those drinks I love, but my personal favourite has got to be Goldschlager. I can't have a good night out without it. But beware if you are on a budget, as most of the craze drinks are quite expensive.
I would say on a night out I would spend anything between £5 and £10.
Probably about 20 quid, 30 quid, something like that. About between 10 and 15.
About 25 pounds.
About 20 quid a night.
Usually between about 30 and 40 quid if it's a good night out. So that's about it.
About £7. About 20, £25. About 15 or 20 quid.
About £25, £30.
About 40 quid.
About £25.
About £25.
From our survey, the average student spends £32 on drink per week from an average of 2 nights out. Now that is a lot of our disposable income we spend on drink. But even at the end of the night when you're drunk and your head's stuck down the loo, regretting the mingy you just got off with, you know it's worth it because you know you've had a good night out. Well, the only thing now to look forward to is that lovely hangover the next morning and wondering why you're flushing away all your money again down the loo.
Well, thanks for that, Ben. And is it hardly surprising lager still remains the favourite? Anyway, still to come on tonight's show, we have Dave with Film It with the box office hits. And Esther tells you bookworms the latest with reading. And Lauren will be giving us the rundown on internet shopping. But now, this is the score with dance culture. Be it drum and bass, happy hardcore, techno or trance, for nearly a decade, club culture has taken Britain by storm and is still going strong. Starting out in the late 80s as illegal acid house raves and growing to become not only a national but worldwide phenomena, with many of the best super clubs as they are called in the business being right here in Britain. Many of the best clubs you may think are in London, with the likes of Home and Ministry being ranked as the best in the world. But fear not, clubbers of the north, for 2 of the world's greatest super clubs and 2 of the world's famous are just a stone's throw away. Since opening its doors in 1992, Cream's capacity now exceeds 3,000 and delivers a truly wonderful clubbing experience. With 3 main dance areas and banging tunes, Cream gives a memorable and amazing night out. Cream opens its doors from 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. every Saturday, with tickets costing £11 and £8 for members. A club which enjoys a reputation for being the friendliest of super clubs, and in the past 3 years has accepted awards from the likes of Mixmag and MTV, Gatecrasher attracts extremely friendly and free-spirited people who love their DJs and dancing. If you want to go along, expect a wild night out and relish in what is known as the Gatecrasher experience. Tickets for Saturday night are £15 and doors open at 9:30 p.m, but go early to avoid the queues, and if you're up for it, Gatecrasher is the place to be, closing at 6 a.m. To go clubbing is one thing, but to look good while you do it is another. With designer makes such as Calvin Klein filling the dance floors, one's first reaction may be,
What am I going to wear?
but do not fret, whether you're a skint student or just tight with your money, the following looks will enable you to strut your stuff without a worry in the world, and all at high street prices.
Truth, you never wanted me.
The club is with a passion, the night needn't end when the club locks its doors, because as the world goes crazy with merchandising, it seems our homegrown clubs are jumping on this money-making bandwagon. Be it CDs, hats, books or simply t-shirts, these can all be purchased with the added bonus of having your favourite club's emblem splashed all over them. However, prices aren't cheap and most products can only be bought at the club itself, with the exception of CDs. These can be bought from most good music stores. So you've got your club, your clothes, so what's missing from the perfect night out? Ah yes, you want to pull. Well, even I can't help you with that, but this next lot might be able to.
Get your coat you've pulled. Probably, are you tired? Because you've been running around my mind all day.
It's got to be the one out of friends, I think. How are you doing?
Those trousers would look good on the bedroom floor. I don't have one. I just wait someone else to use one on me.
So according to that lot, it would seem cheesy shut-up lines are still ever so popular today as they were in the 1940s. To have a good time though involves being careful, and a good time can be turned into a brilliant time if simple things like don't drink and drive and always practice safe sex are remembered. Clubland also has an association with drug culture, so be careful in the choices you make. Clubbing is and always will be popular, with millions flocking to clubs every Saturday night. But if the quiet life is more your scene, then simply listening to a club CD on a bus can be just as enjoyable. Now, next up tonight, we're going to go to the movies with Dave and see what he has to say in Film It, your guide to what's on at the cinema and what to rent out from your video store.
Hello again, I'm Dave Perry and welcome to Film It, where I'll give you a rundown of what's going on in the world of film. On tonight's show, if you fancy a quiet night in, we find out the latest films coming out in a video shop near you, plus your chance to win 10 videos in our competition. The Shining comes under the spotlight as this week's classic film choice. First up, sit back and relax whilst we see the films people are seeing in the top 5. At number 5 is American Beauty. Kevin Spacey was so much better in The Usual Suspects, but go and see this film. However, I prefer you to see this one, Kubrick's Ultraviolet, A Clockwork Orange at 4. Three Kings is down to number 3. I didn't like it much, but I suppose it's down to taste. The Green Mile at 2. It isn't great, it's pure Hollywood and it might make your mother cry. Toy Story 2 is still at the top spot. Don't miss out on Buzz Lightyear and the gang, please. Now for those of you who want an easygoing night in with a video, you go down the video store and you're spoilt for choice, so here's 3 films that we recommend from the week.
Fallen One, I am Satan. I am your god now.
South Park, the film. It's bigger, longer and uncut. A musical delight. Swearing Cartman and Saddam Hussein. This one I beg you not to miss.
Now, feel the delightful pain.
Hey, Jake! Did you hear the news? A war just broke out up on Earth.
Meet Saddam Hussein, my new partner in evil.
What?
Vanessa, what's going on?
Mr. Powers may become a bit drawn out in this sequel, but it's still sure to keep you entertained. If you haven't seen it yet, where have you been?
You must be Tu imaginación está jugando contigo, querido. Oh my God!
Vanessa, you're a fembomb!
No shit, Sherlock.
Oh, wait, I left my beer downstairs.
No. Here, babe.
The third and final video, American Pie. It's the race for a group of male teenagers to lose their virginity. Light-hearted, fun, easygoing, but too cliched and predictable.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time in the show again where we give you the chance to win 10 new videos. We have 10 sets to give away, and all you have to do is answer the following question. Who stars in the new film, The Beach? A. Leonardo DiCaprio, B. Bruce Willis, or C. Brad Pitt. Last but not least on Film It, we take a trip through the tunnel of time where today I'm reviewing Stanley Kubrick's horror sensation, The Shining. The Shining remains one of the best psychological horror films ever. It is about Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, losing his mind in an isolated hotel and trying to kill his wife Wendy, played by Shelley Duvall. Kubrick's omniscient and radical directing takes the viewer on a journey into Nicholson's mind, and Kubrick deliberately shows those haunted happenings without allowing the viewer to know who is seeing it and when it is happening. The Shining ends with a memorable maze sequence, and this film, no matter how mainstream, fights with the classical Hollywood system and is an excellent film. And on the Pantometer scale, I give it 5 out of 5. This surely deserves the golden thong.
Here's Johnny!
Anyway, I have to go to the cinema now, but I'll be back next week with the latest reviews and Hollywood gossip, so see you later.
And thanks for that, Dave, and I just want to say I recommend South Park. Next up tonight, Lauren gives us a rundown on internet shopping and buying music on the World Wide Web. She'll be telling us the best sites in which to net a bargain.
Music is everywhere, on TV, the radio, movies and games. It is something we all enjoy in whatever form. There are a range of ways to hear the music you've bought, from the Walkman to a mini disc player. Buying is mostly done at people's leisure, whether on their own or with others. The most typical place to go would be to a high street store, such as HMV or Virgin. Currently, IBM is having talks with Sony Entertainment and Time Warner about a $33 million deal to distribute music over the internet. It looks set to launch a boom in virtual consumerism of music and perhaps the decline of high street shopping. There are several advantages to buying CDs over the internet. It can be done from the comfort of your home, no more trips to the overcrowded streets of hustling shoppers. The accessibility to nearly everyone is a huge advantage. Home users, business companies, colleges, most places now have computers with an internet facility. You can look for anything you like at the touch of a button. Whatever type of music you're after, it's readily available. When selecting the type of music you want, you'll be able to hear samples of the CD before you buy it, making sure you're about to buy a CD that you will like. So what do the music buying public think about shopping on the internet?
Well, a good thing about buying music over the internet is you've got a lot of variety and you can shop around without getting out of your chair. But there's a lot of security problems with people cloning credit cards using them, in other shops.
I've never really done it before, so I'm not sure, but I probably never will.
It's not really a good idea because it's easier to go into the shop, easier for you, and it's easier for the people that work there because otherwise they're going to lose out on the job.
It's a good idea if you want to stay at home, where if you buy stuff in the shop, you've got to go out and buy it and look for what you want.
I don't do it myself, but a lot of people find it easier.
It seems that generally most people hold some reservations to the idea of an online music store. There are some problems with internet buying. A major problem when selling any product over a computer is fraud. Having to leave credit details can never be 100% secure, especially if there's a good computer hacker around. Not everyone possesses a credit card, which is necessary information when making a purchase. It's hard to know if you're buying from a reputable site, or even be given any guarantee on receiving what you have paid for. Also, owning a computer is not a possibility for everyone, or actually knowing how to use one and understanding the costs. The expense of spending time online can soon amount to a hefty bill. It may take some time before the internet catches up with the music sales of the high street shops. There is always going to be those who prefer to buy in shops, as browsing is a crucial factor for the consumer. The physical ambience of being in the store with fellow music buyers, a vast array of CDs to browse through at their leisure, and being able to touch the CDs and the glossy contents inside are key pleasures in in-store buying. The gratification of the actual buying, the handing over of their money for an instant purchase, and the interaction with staff or their friends will remain a strong reason for high street shoppers. A growing alternative of getting music is with MP3s, which is an internet web page that allows for music to be downloaded for free onto a computer's hard drive. The music is of CD quality and relatively quick to purchase. The downside is that the browsing is virtual and very limited. Also, there's no physical product at the end. It remains to be seen if this absence of a real tangible product makes it a smash hit with the music buying public.
And it's almost time to leave you now, but before we go, Esther Prue's reading is still as strong as ever. With her report, Read It.
Books fall into two main categories, fiction and non-fiction, and those have their own subcategories. Fiction books fall under romance, horror, crime, science fiction and fantasy, whereas non-fiction goes into biographies, history, personal development, pets and textbooks. There are 5 main places where books are available. Bookshops are perhaps the most obvious. They have a wide range of books available in both fiction and non-fiction. The books here can range in cost from £1.99 to £20 plus. Shops such as supermarkets have a very limited choice in what books they sell. They are mostly bestsellers and children's books.
Some people prefer to look around second-hand or charity shops, where old books can be found, which are currently out of print. The internet is a speedy way to find books to buy, but you don't get to see what you're buying first. Libraries are probably another of the most obvious places to get books. It is the cheapest since it costs nothing, and as with bookshops, there is a variety of books on offer. As an alternative to the written word, there is the spoken and visual word. TV and film adaptations are one way to enjoy the contents of a book without having to read it, which brings us to today's Critic's Choice. One of the latest TV adaptations is Mervyn Peake's Gormenghast trilogy, in which a young kitchen boy attempts to manipulate and overpower the ruling family. Apart from having to leave out insignificant events and characters, the rest of the drama is quite true to the text. One thing that has been changed is the order of events in the book, which would potentially be too hard to follow on screen. For instance, while still plotting the burning of the library, the kitchen boy Steerpike begins his seduction of the Lady Fuchsia. By separating these events out, the plot seems to flow better. Overall, Gormenghast is a well-presented drama and a useful way to introduce people to the story and to influence them to go out and read the book. Another alternative to books are audiobooks. This form of book works especially well for the blind and young children. This form of the written word, like TV adaptations, has to be shortened. One audiobook is Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, a story that documents doomed love and its consequences. Unlike most TV adaptations, which only deal with the first half of the book, the audio travels through the whole story. The one narrator voices each character, which gives a storytelling feel to the book. Audiobooks tend to give more information from the original text than TV adaptations do.
And Mr. Heathcliff and I are such a suitable pair to divide the desolation between us.
In general, audiobooks and TV adaptations tend to give a decent representation of the material which it is taken from. There are also useful ways to influence people to go out and read a book.
It's called The Last Vampire by Christopher Pike.
It's called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
I'm not really interested in books.
Yes, Blood Brothers. Catherine Applegate, and it's like a series of books. So.
What's the book like about?
It's like these people that live on an island. They're all teenagers and stuff, and it's just their love life and stuff like that.
It's about this 5,000-year-old vampire and, you know, her life in the past 1,000 years. I haven't really got the gist of it yet.
I tend to read at night when you're alone, it relaxes you, in bed.
They help me relax at night, and, you know, they're quite comforting during the day when you're just sitting at home on your own.
It just makes me feel more comfortable at night, you know, when you're feeling a bit down.
A recent survey shows that 69% of people from 16 to 60 read books, with the majority reading every day, usually after 9 p.m, which is when most people relax. The most popular books being horror, fantasy, modern literature, biographies, textbooks and personal development. On average, most people spend £50 per year on books, as well as borrowing from libraries. So in this time of such technological advances that we're seeing now, such as digital television, the internet and computer games, it's good to see that the written word is alive and well.
Now I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but remember our competition. Who starred in The Beach? Was it Leonardo DiCaprio, Bruce Willis or Brad Pitt? So be sure to tune in next week when we're going to have more leisure activities to help enhance your life. Have fun and goodbye.